The massive crystal dome of the Galactic Council chamber gleamed under the light of 3 suns. Inside, representatives from 5 different alien species sat in a perfect circle, their voices echoing through the vast space. Ambassador Zethkar of the Vorthic Empire stood at the center, his gray skin marked with battle scars and his forearms gesturing as he spoke. "The pirate attacks are getting worse," Zethkar growled, his voice like grinding stone. "Last month alone, they destroyed 12 cargo ships in the Outer Rim. The trade routes are no longer safe." The other council members shifted in their seats. The Nexari delegate Science Minister Quindle tapped her long fingers on the metal table. Her blue skin shimmered as she spoke in her musical voice. "Our sensors show at least 50 pirate ships operating in that region. They use old technology, but they are clever." Across the circle, the Avalon representative nodded his massive head. The Avalon looked like walking trees with bark-like skin and leaves that changed color with their emotions. His leaves were currently dark green, showing concern. "The Avalon merchants have lost much profit. Something must be done." The Keftai delegate, a small creature with 6 legs and golden fur, clicked his mandibles nervously. "The Keftai agree. These pirates attack anyone who carries valuable goods. They show no mercy." In the shadows at the far end of the chamber, the 5th member of the council remained silent. The shadows rarely spoke, and when they did, their voices were like whispers in the wind. Today, they said nothing. Zethkar slammed one of his 4 fists on the table. "Then we are all agreed. We must send a joint fleet to destroy these pirates once and for all." The other delegates nodded, but before they could speak, old Velmos, an ancient Keftai trader, shuffled forward. His golden fur was gray with age, and his voice was weak but clear. "Wait," Velmos said, raising one of his small hands. "The area you speak of, it is near the Forbidden Zone, the place where the old legends say the humans once lived." The chamber fell silent for a moment, then erupted in laughter. Zethkar's laugh was like rocks falling down a mountain. Quindle's musical giggle filled the air. Even the normally serious Avalon delegates' leaves turned bright yellow with amusement. "Humans?" Quindle said, still laughing. "Old traitor, you speak of fairy tales. There are no humans. There have never been humans." Velmos stood straighter, his old eyes flashing with anger. "The legends are not fairy tales. My grandfather's grandfather told stories passed down through generations. Humans were real. They lived in the far spiral arm of the galaxy, beyond the dead zones." "And what did these magical humans do?" Zethkar asked, his voice full of mockery. "Did they breathe fire? Did they fly without ships?" The old trader's voice grew stronger. "They were warriors like no other. They could live on any world, in any environment. They never surrendered, never gave up. When cornered, they fought harder. When outnumbered, they found ways to win. They had something the legends call spite, the will to fight when all hope was lost." The laughter grew louder. Quindle wiped tears from her large eyes. "Spite? What kind of evolutionary trait is spite? It makes no sense. A species that fights harder when losing would go extinct quickly." "The humans could adapt to anything," Velmos continued, ignoring the laughter. "Hot worlds, cold worlds, worlds with poison air. They built cities in places that would kill us in minutes. And their technology ... it grew with them. It learned and changed. Enough." Zethkar roared, his forearms spreading wide. "We have real problems to solve. We cannot waste time on children's stories about magical humans who probably never existed." The council quickly returned to planning their military expedition. They decided to send 200 ships from all 5 species. The Vorthak would provide the heavy warships. The Nexari would bring their advanced sensors, the Avalon would supply their defensive shields, and the Keftai would handle logistics. The shadows would do whatever the shadows did. As the meeting ended, Velmos shuffled away, shaking his head. The other delegates filed out, chattering excitedly about the upcoming battle against the pirates. None of them noticed the small recording device that had been listening to every word. Meanwhile, in a star system far from the Galactic Council, Admiral Jake Morrison sat in his command chair aboard the UHS Constitution. The human ship was sleek and silent, invisible to most sensors. Around him, his bridge crew worked quietly at their stations. Morrison was a tall man with gray hair and calm eyes. He had been preparing for this day for 20 years. The recording device had done its job, and now he knew what the aliens were planning. "Sir," Captain Lisa Brooks said from her position at the tactical station, "the alien fleet is assembling at Zarian Prime. 200 ships, mixed classes." Morrison nodded. Lisa was one of his best officers, smart and brave. Her red hair was pulled back in a regulation bun, and her green eyes showed no fear. "Commander Hayes," Morrison said, turning to the intelligence officer, "what's our status?" On the border systems, Rick Hayes looked up from his console. He was younger than the others, but his mind was sharp. "All human colonies have been notified. The outer settlements are going to silent running. The mining stations are activating their defense protocols." Morrison stood and walked to the large view screen that showed the stars. For 300 years, humanity had been growing quietly in their corner of the galaxy. They had learned the alien languages, studied their technology, and watched from the shadows. They had always known this day would come. "The aliens think humans are legends," Morrison said quietly. "They're about to learn otherwise." He turned back to his crew. "Activate Protocol Omega. Send word to all fleet commanders. Tell them the time for hiding is over." Lisa's fingers flew over her console. "Sir, Admiral Williams is standing by with the Third Fleet. Admiral Clark has the Centauri fleet ready. All ships are prepared for immediate deployment." Morrison smiled grimly. The aliens had no idea what they were about to face. They thought they were going to fight some primitive pirates. Instead, they would encounter something the galaxy had never seen before: humans defending their home. "Set course for the Kepler 442 system," Morrison ordered. "And send a message to New Denver. Tell them help is coming." The Constitution turned silently in space and jumped to hyperspace. Behind it, dozens of other human ships began to move. The sleeping giant was waking up, and the galaxy would never be the same dot in the depths of space. The legend was about to become reality. 3 weeks after the Galactic Council meeting, the combined alien fleet dropped out of hyperspace at the edge of the Kepler 442 system. Admiral Zethkar stood on the bridge of his flagship, the massive Vorthek dreadnought Bone Crusher. Through the viewing ports, he could see the other ships of his fleet spreading out in attack formation. 200 vessels filled the space around them. Vorthek warships with their dark metal hulls and massive guns. Nixari cruisers that gleamed like silver and bristled with sensor arrays. Avalon ships that looked like flying forests, their living hulls pulsing with green light. Keftai supply ships buzzing around the larger vessels like golden insects. And somewhere in the darkness, the shadow ships that no one could see clearly. "Report," Zethkar growled to his bridge crew. "Admiral, we detect several structures in the system," the sensor operator replied. "Multiple asteroids with artificial constructions. Small ships moving between them. Energy signatures are minimal." Zethkar nodded with satisfaction. "Primitive pirates, just as we expected. They think they can hide in this backwater system." On the mining station orbiting the fourth planet, Captain Elena Rodriguez watched the alien fleet appear on her screens. She was a small woman with dark hair and quick eyes. As the station commander, she was responsible for the 50,000 people who lived and worked in the Kepler 442 system. "Maria, send out the standard first contact greeting," Elena ordered her communications officer. "All frequencies, all languages." "We know," Maria Santos, a young woman with nervous hands, began transmitting. "Unknown vessels, this is New Denver Mining Station. We greet you in peace. Please identify yourselves and state your intentions." The message went out in 12 different alien languages, each one perfectly pronounced and grammatically correct. On the Bone Crusher, the communications officer's mandibles dropped open in shock. "Admiral, we are receiving a transmission from the system. It's imperfect Vorthek, Nexari, and Avalon." Zethkar's 4 eyes narrowed. "Play it." The message filled the bridge, and every alien present felt a chill. The voice was clear and calm. Speaking their languages better than many natives? How do they know our languages? Whispered the Nexari Captain Turville from his ship. Pirates don't learn multiple alien tongues. Maybe they captured some of our people, Zethkar replied, but his voice was uncertain. Or maybe they have been trading with smugglers. Elena waited for a response, but none came. On her screens, she could see the alien ships moving into what was clearly an attack formation. Her heart sank. After 3 centuries of hiding, first contact was going to be a battle. Send the emergency beacon to Earth, she ordered. Full tactical data on the alien fleet, and activate all defense platforms. Admiral, the Vorthic sensor operator called out, we're detecting a transmission burst from the system. Very tight. Beam heading toward the inner spiral arm, Zethkar snarled. Jam all their communications, we can't let them call for help. But it was too late. The quantum entanglement beacon had already reached Earth in an instant, carrying complete information about the alien fleet to Admiral Morrison. Unknown vessels, Elena transmitted again. You are approaching a peaceful human colony. We have no hostile intent. Please respond. The word human sent a shock through the alien fleet. On the Nexari ship, Captain Turville's blue skin turned pale. Admiral, did they say human? Impossible, Zethkar replied, but his voice was less certain. There are no humans. It's a trick. Submit to Galactic authority, Zethkar finally transmitted back. Surrender your weapons and prepare to be boarded. Elena's jaw tightened. We are citizens of the Human Colonial Federation. We do not recognize your authority over our space. Please withdraw from this system. The response was immediate and violent. Zethkar ordered his gunners to fire on what he believed was an empty asteroid. The massive energy beam struck the rocky surface, causing a spectacular explosion that lit up the system, but as the debris cleared, the aliens saw something that made their blood run cold. The asteroid had been hollowed out and filled with technology. Gleaming metal corridors and advanced defensive systems were now exposed to space. This was no primitive pirate base. By the void, whispered Captain Turville. What kind of technology is this? Elena watched her outer defense platform die and felt anger rise in her chest. These aliens had attacked without warning, without even trying to understand who they were dealing with. All civilians to the deep shelters, she ordered. Security teams to defensive positions, and someone get me Ben Parker. Ben Parker was the head of station security, a former soldier with gray hair and steady hands. He had been expecting this day for years. Elena, we've got dropships incoming, Ben reported over the comm. Looks like they're planning a ground assault. Can we hold them? We'll make them pay for every corridor, Ben replied grimly. The first alien shuttles landed on the mining station's docking bays. Vorthic warriors in heavy armor stormed out, expecting to face cowering pirates. Instead, they found themselves in a maze of corridors that seemed designed for defense. Commander Drachmer led the assault troops. He was a veteran of a dozen campaigns, and he had never seen anything like this. The humans had turned their entire station into a fortress. Every corner could hide a defender. Every door could be a trap. Where are they? One of his soldiers asked, looking around nervously. The answer came in the form of precision weapons fire from hidden positions. The humans used tactics that made no sense to the aliens. They would attack, then disappear. They would set traps, then spring them when the aliens thought they were safe. In the residential section, a human woman named Amy Collins held her young daughter close as alien soldiers approached their door. The little girl looked up at her mother with wide eyes. Mommy, are those the bad aliens? Don't worry, sweetheart, Amy whispered. Help is coming. The door burst open, and a massive Vorthic warrior stepped inside. He raised his weapon, expecting the humans to cower. Instead, the little girl stared at him without fear. Her small voice was clear and strong. You're not supposed to hurt people, she said. That's wrong, the warrior hesitated. In all his battles, he had never had a child speak to him like this. There was no fear in her eyes, only disappointment that he would do something bad. Throughout the station, similar scenes played out. Human Defenders fought with a determination that shocked the aliens. They used the environment as a weapon, turning the station's own systems against the invaders. When cut off, they improvised. When outnumbered, they found ways to even the odds. Ben Parker coordinated the defense from the command center. They're not used to fighting in confined spaces, he told Elena. And they definitely don't understand human tactics. How long can we hold? Elena asked. Long enough, Ben replied. Earth got the message. Help is coming. In deep space, Admiral Morrison's fleet was already moving. The Third Fleet under Admiral Karen Williams had jumped to hyperspace the moment the beacon arrived. Dozens of human ships were converging on Kepler 442, each one invisible to alien sensors. On the Bone Crusher, Zethkar was growing frustrated. His ground troops were reporting heavy resistance from an enemy that fought like no one they had ever faced. The humans refused to surrender even when cornered. They seemed to fight harder when things got worse. Admiral, his communications officer reported, Commander Drakmor requests reinforcements. He says the humans are using tactics that violate all military doctrine. Zethkar snarled, Send more troops. How hard can it be to defeat a few mining station workers? But deep in his heart, he was beginning to remember the old stories. Stories of a species that never gave up, that fought harder when losing, that had something called spite. The attack on New Denver continued, but the humans held their ground. And in the darkness of space, help was coming. The sleeping giant had awakened, and it was very angry. The legend was about to become reality, and the galaxy would never be the same. The emergency beacon from New Denver reached Earth in seconds through the quantum entanglement network. In the capital city of Geneva, President Marcus Thompson stood before the United Earth Assembly, his face grave and his voice steady. Citizens of Earth and all human colonies, he began. His words broadcast to every human settlement across 300 star systems. 12 hours ago, an alien fleet attacked our peaceful colony at New Denver. They struck without warning, without provocation, against innocent civilians, including women and children. The assembly hall was silent. Representatives from every human world listened with growing anger. For 3 centuries, humanity had remained hidden, watching, and learning. Now their secret was out, and blood had been spilled. The time for hiding is over, Thompson continued. These aliens think they can attack us with impunity. They are wrong. I hereby authorize the activation of the full human colonial defense force. We will defend our people, and we will make it clear that humanity will not be pushed around. Across human space, the response was immediate. On Luna Base, Admiral Susan Clark received her orders and began mobilizing the Centauri fleet, the massive shipyards around. Jupiter buzzed with activity as Admiral Paul Martinez prepared the Vega. Defense Force in the Outer Rim, Admiral Tony Walsh gathered his deep space patrol squadrons. Each fleet commander had trained for this moment. They had studied alien tactics, learned their weaknesses, and prepared for the day when humanity would no longer hide in the shadows. Admiral Jake Morrison stood on the bridge of the Constitution, watching as more human ships arrived at the rendezvous point. The sight would have terrified the aliens. Sleek vessels that seemed to bend light around them, moving in perfect formation with an efficiency that spoke of years of preparation. Sir, Captain Lisa Brooks reported from her station, we now have 12 fleets converging on our position. Total ship count, 837 vessels. Morrison nodded. The aliens thought they were impressive with their 200 ships. They had no idea what they were about to face. Meanwhile, on New Denver, the battle continued. Lieutenant Colonel Jake Stevens had been visiting the mining station when the attack began. He was a veteran of the Colonial Marines, and he immediately took charge of the civilian resistance. Listen up, people, Stevens addressed the defenders over the comm system. These aliens think they can walk all over us because we're just miners and technicians. They're about to learn that every human is a fighter when pushed. The station had been built with defense in mind, even though it appeared to be a simple mining operation. Hidden weapon caches, reinforced bulkheads, and secret passages gave the defenders every advantage. But it was the human spirit that truly shocked the aliens. Amy Collins, the mother who had faced down a Vorthic warrior, now helped coordinate the evacuation of children to the deep shelters. Her daughter had become a symbol of human courage, and the story of the fearless little girl spread through the resistance network. "The children are safe," Amy reported to Ben Parker, "but we need to hold the main corridors for 6 more hours." Ben nodded grimly. Intelligence from Earth said help was coming, but 6 hours was a lifetime in battle. Still, the humans had something the aliens didn't understand. They got stronger when things got worse. Commander Drakmore was learning this lesson the hard way. His troops had taken heavy casualties trying to advance through the station. The humans used tactics that made no sense to alien military doctrine. They would sacrifice positions to save civilians, then fight harder to take them back. They would help wounded enemies, then fight those same enemies again later. "These humans are insane," one of his soldiers reported. "They fight like they don't care about dying." "No," Drakmore replied, beginning to understand. "They fight like they care about living, about protecting their families. It makes them dangerous." Back on Zarian Prime, the Galactic Council was in emergency session. The reports from Kepler 442 were disturbing. The humans were not only real, but far more advanced than anyone had imagined. "How is this possible?" Science Minister Quindell asked, her blue skin pale with shock. "Our sensors show technology that shouldn't exist. Their defensive systems adapt in real time. Their weapons are more precise than anything we've seen." The old traitor Velma sat in the corner, no longer laughing. "I tried to warn you," he said. Quietly, the legend spoke of humans who could learn and adapt faster than any other species. You called them fairy tales. Nexari scientist Dr. Kevanen was studying the captured data from the battle. "The human technology is incredible," he reported. "It's not just advanced, it's intelligent. Their systems learn from every attack and adjust their defenses accordingly." "What about their numbers?" asked the Avalon representative, his leaves now a worried brown color. "How many ships do they have?" "Unknown," Kevanen replied. "But the energy signatures we're detecting suggest a massive industrial base. They've been building ships for centuries while we thought they were just legends." The shadow representative finally spoke, his voice like wind through empty corridors. "The humans have been watching us. Learning our languages, studying our technology, preparing for this day. We are not the hunters in this situation, we are the prey." At the edge of the Kepler 442 system, space began to shimmer. The first human reinforcements were arriving, and they were unlike anything the aliens had ever seen. Admiral Karen Williams' Third Fleet dropped out of hyperspace in perfect formation, 50 ships moving as one mind. The alien sensors went crazy trying to track the new arrivals. The human ships seemed to phase in and out of reality, their stealth technology making them nearly invisible. But their weapons were very real and very powerful. "Admiral Zethkar," his communications officer called out in panic, "we're detecting multiple hyperspace signatures. Unknown vessels approaching from the inner system." Zethkar turned to his screens and felt his blood turn to ice. The human ships were beautiful and terrible, moving with a grace that spoke of superior technology and centuries of preparation. They weren't just more advanced than the alien fleet. They were in a completely different league. "Sir," the sensor operator reported, his voice shaking, "the new ships are surrounding us. They're not attacking, but they're in perfect position to destroy us if we make a move." On the lead human ship, Admiral Williams opened a channel to the alien fleet. Her voice was calm and professional, but underneath was a core of steel that made every alien who heard it understand they were facing something beyond their experience. "Alien vessels," she transmitted, "you have attacked a peaceful human colony and killed innocent civilians. You will cease all hostile activities immediately and prepare to discuss terms for your surrender." The word surrender sent a shock through the alien fleet. They had come here to destroy primitive pirates. Instead, they found themselves outgunned and outmaneuvered by a species that wasn't supposed to exist. Zethkar tried to bluster. "We do not recognize your authority. We are representatives of the Galactic Council." Williams' response was swift and decisive. The Galactic Council attacked. U.S. without provocation. Your authority ends where our space begins. You have 1 hour to consider our terms. On New Denver, the human defenders received the news with cheers. Lieutenant Colonel Stevens smiled grimly as he watched alien troops begin to pull back from their positions. Looks like the cavalry has arrived, he told his fighters. But keep your guard up. This isn't over yet. The sleeping giant was awake now, and it was very angry. The aliens were about to learn that humanity was not just real, but more powerful than anything they had imagined. The legends were true, and the galaxy would never be the same. In the depths of space, more human fleets continued to arrive. The real show was just beginning. Admiral Karen Williams stood on the bridge of her flagship, the USS Defiant, watching the alien fleet scramble to respond to humanity's arrival. Her 50 ships had dropped out of hyperspace in a perfect sphere formation around the 200 alien vessels. The tactical advantage was complete and overwhelming. Admiral, Captain Lisa Brooks reported from her position beside Williams, all ships are in position. The alien fleet is completely surrounded, Williams nodded. Lisa had been transferred to her ship as tactical advisor, and her experience would be crucial in the coming hours. The young captain's red hair caught the light from the tactical displays as she studied the alien formations. Their ships are trying to reorganize, Lisa continued, but they can't decide which direction to face. We have them confused and scared. The alien flagship Bone Crusher, chaos reigned. Admiral Zethkar's forearms gestured wildly as he tried to understand what was happening. His sensors showed human ships in every direction, but the readings made no sense. How many ships? Zethkar demanded. Unknown, sir, the sensor operator replied, his mandibles clicking nervously. Our sensors show 50, but the energy signatures are shifting. It's like they're not really there. What do you mean, not really there? Zethkar roared. The ships seem to phase in and out of our detection range. Sometimes we see them clearly, sometimes they disappear completely. The technology is beyond our understanding. On the Nexari vessel Bright Star, Dr. Kevanin frantically worked at his science station. The readings he was getting from the human ships were impossible according to everything he knew about physics. Captain Turville, he called out, his blue skin now pale with shock. These human ships are using technology that should not exist. They're manipulating spacetime itself. Captain Turville moved to look at the data. Explain. Their hulls seem to exist in multiple dimensions at once. Their weapons can target specific systems without damaging surrounding areas, and their shields... Kevanin paused, checking his readings again. Their shields adapt to whatever we might throw at them. They learn from each scan we make. Admiral Williams opened a communication channel to the alien fleet. Her voice was calm and professional, but every alien who heard it felt a chill run down their spine. Alien fleet, this is Admiral Karen Williams of the Human Colonial Defense Force. You have attacked our peaceful colony and killed innocent civilians. You will power down your weapons and prepare for boarding. The bridge of the Bone Crusher fell silent. Finally, Zethkar found his voice. We are representatives of the Galactic Council. We do not recognize human authority. You fired first. Williams replied simply. You chose violence over diplomacy. Now you face the consequences. Who are you? Zethkar demanded. What do you want? Williams' response was measured but firm. We are the humans your council dismissed as legends. We want you to leave our space and never return, but first you will answer for your crimes. When Zethkar refused to respond, Admiral Williams decided to demonstrate human capabilities. She turned to Captain Lisa Brooks. Captain, select 3 of their destroyer-class vessels. Disable their power systems only. Show them what precision means. Lisa's fingers danced across her console. Target selection complete, Admiral. Initiating selective shutdown procedures. The human ship Defiant moved with impossible grace toward the alien formation. To the watching aliens, it seemed to dance through space. Avoiding their weapons while targeting specific systems with surgical precision, 3 beams of energy lanced out from the Defiant, each one striking a different alien destroyer. But instead of explosions, the alien ships simply went dark. Their lights failed, their engines stopped, their weapons powered down. The ships were completely disabled but undamaged. How? Captain Turville whispered as he watched the display. How did they target only the power systems? Dr. Kevenin was studying the sensor readings with growing amazement. They didn't destroy anything. They simply turned off the power. The precision required is incredible. They could have vaporized those ships but chose not to. The implications? Hit the alien fleet like a physical blow. The humans could have destroyed them easily, but they had chosen mercy. This was not the behavior of aggressive conquerors. This was the action of a species that possessed overwhelming power but chose to use it responsibly. On New Denver, the human resistance received word of the fleet's arrival. Lieutenant Colonel Jake Stevens gathered his fighters in the main corridor, where they had been holding the line against alien ground forces. "Listen up, people," Stevens announced with a grin. "Admiral Williams just disabled 3 alien ships without breaking a sweat. I think it's time we showed these invaders what human hospitality really looks like." The resistance began a coordinated counterattack, but instead of trying to kill the alien soldiers, they used non-lethal weapons and tactics designed to capture rather than destroy. The aliens found themselves surrounded by humans who fought with determination, but showed mercy to those who surrendered. Commander Drakmor, leading the ground assault, was trapped in a corridor with 12 of his soldiers. Human fighters had cut off their retreat and blocked their advance. He expected to die fighting, but instead a human voice called out, "Alien soldiers, this is Colonel Stevens. Your fleet is surrounded and defeated. Lay down your weapons and you will not be harmed. We do not wish to kill you." Drakmor was confused. In every battle he had fought, defeat meant death. But these humans were offering mercy to their enemies. "Why?" he called back. "Why do you not kill us?" Stevens' voice was clear and strong. "Because killing should be the last choice, not the first. We fight to protect our people, not to destroy yours." Ugh. In space, more human ships were arriving. Admiral Morrison's main fleet dropped out of hyperspace, followed by Admiral Clark's Centauri fleet and Admiral Martinez's Vega Defense Force. The alien fleet was now outnumbered 4-1. And every new arrival brought technology that seemed impossible. Commander Rick Hayes, monitoring alien communications from his position on the Constitution, reported to Admiral Morrison, "Sir, the aliens are in complete panic. Their communications are filled with references to magic and impossible technology." Morrison smiled grimly. "They're learning what happens when you attack innocent people. What's the status of the ground forces?" Colonel Stevens reports that most alien troops are surrendering. The ones still fighting are being contained with minimal casualties on both sides. "Good, we're not monsters like they thought we were." On the Galactic Council's emergency communication channel, the reports were becoming more desperate by the hour. The expedition that was supposed to defeat primitive pirates had encountered something beyond their worst nightmares. "The humans are real," Science Minister Quindle transmitted to Zarian Prime. "They're not just real, they're more advanced than our entire civilization. Their technology is centuries ahead of ours." The old trader Velmas, listening to the reports, shook his head sadly. "I tried to warn you. The legend said humans were gardeners of the stars, beings who would protect and nurture, but who could defend themselves against any threat. What do we do?" asked the Avalon representative, his leaves now black with fear. "We pray they are as merciful as the legends say," Velmas replied. "Because if they are not, the galaxy as we know it is about to end." Admiral Williams opened another channel to the alien fleet. "You have 1 hour to consider your position. After that, we will begin boarding your vessels and taking your crews into custody. This is your only warning." The human fleet hung in space like a collection of predators surrounding their prey. But they were predators with consciences, and that made them more dangerous than anything the galaxy had ever seen. The sleeping giant was fully awake now, and it was showing the galaxy what real power looked like. The emergency session of the Galactic Council was unlike anything in the organization's 1,000-year history. Representatives from all 5 species sat in stunned silence as reports flooded in from the Kepler 442 system. The expedition they had sent to destroy primitive pirates had encountered something that challenged everything they thought they knew about the Galaxy. Ambassador Zethkar's voice crackled through the communication system from his disabled flagship. Council, the humans are real. They are not legends or fairy tales. They have technology that makes our most advanced ships look like children's toys. Science Minister Quindle's hands shook as she reviewed the sensor data. The human weapons didn't destroy our ships. They simply turned them off. The precision required is beyond our understanding. They could have killed everyone in the fleet. But they chose not to. The old trader Velma sat quietly in the corner, no longer mocked or ignored. His ancient eyes held a sadness that came from being right about something terrible. The legend spoke truth, he said softly. Humans are the gardeners of the stars. They grow strong to protect others, not to conquer them. In the Kepler 442 system, Admiral Jake Morrison's flagship Constitution arrived with the full weight of Earth's main battle fleet. The massive ship dwarfed even the largest alien vessels, its hull gleaming with technology that seemed to bend light around it. President Marcus Thompson stood beside Morrison on the bridge, having insisted on coming to oversee humanity's first official contact with galactic civilization. Secretary of Defense Maria Santos flanked his other side, her face stern as she watched the tactical displays. Admiral, Thompson said, what's our status? Morrison gestured to the displays showing hundreds of human ships surrounding the alien fleet. Complete tactical superiority, Mr. President. The alien force is neutralized. We've taken minimal casualties and most of their ground troops have surrendered. And the civilians on New Denver? Safe, sir. Colonel Stevens reports all non-combatants are secure in the deep shelters. Station damage is minimal. President Thompson nodded, then turned to the communications officer. Open a channel to the alien fleet, all frequencies. The bridge fell silent as Thompson prepared to speak. This would be humanity's first official. Words to galactic civilization, and history would remember every syllable. Alien vessels, this is President Marcus Thompson of the United Earth Government and the Human Colonial Federation. You attacked our peaceful colony without warning or provocation. You killed innocent civilians and threatened the lives of 50,000 human beings. Thompson's voice carried across space to every alien ship, translated into their languages, by human computers that had been learning alien speech for decades. However, the president continued, we are not like you. We do not respond to violence with greater violence unless absolutely necessary. Your fleet is defeated, but your crews are alive. Your soldiers have surrendered, but they have been treated with dignity. On the alien flagship, Admiral Zethkar listened with growing amazement. In every conflict he had known, defeat meant death or slavery. But these humans were offering something different. We offer you a choice, Thompson said. Return to your council and tell them what you have learned here. Tell them that humanity exists, that we are powerful, and that we wish to live in peace. Or continue your aggression and face the full might of our defense forces. Dr. Kevanin, monitoring the transmission from his science station, was studying more than just the words. Captain Turville, he whispered, their transmission is being broadcast on quantum frequencies we didn't know existed. They're not just talking to us. They're talking to the entire galaxy. The Nexari captain's skin turned even paler. You mean every civilization in the galaxy is hearing this? Yes, and more than that. They're broadcasting sensor data showing our fleet's defeat. Everyone will know that the Great Galactic Council was stopped by humans that were supposed to be legends. As if to demonstrate their point, the humans chose that moment to show their true capabilities. A massive asteroid, nearly 20 kilometers across, was drifting toward New Denver on a collision course. The impact would destroy the entire colony. Admiral Morrison turned to his tactical officer. Captain Brooks, show our guests how we handle planetary defense. Lisa Brooks smiled as her fingers moved across the controls. Yes, sir, activating gravitational manipulation systems. A human fleet moved into a new formation around the asteroid. Energy beams, unlike anything the aliens had seen, reached out from the ships. But instead of destroying the massive rock, they began to move it. The asteroid slowed, stopped, then began to change course. The humans were using technology that manipulated gravity itself, treating the massive object like a child's toy. Within minutes, they had moved the asteroid into a stable orbit around New Denver, turning a deadly threat into a new mining opportunity. Impossible, breathed Dr. Kevenin as he watched the display. They're manipulating fundamental forces like we manipulate simple machines. On New Denver, Captain Elena Rodriguez watched the operation from her command center. She had been chosen to serve as humanity's first official ambassador to the alien species, a role she had never expected when she woke up that morning. Elena, Colonel Stevens called from the security station, the alien ground commanders want to meet with you. They're asking about surrender terms. Elena nodded. She had studied alien cultures for years, preparing for the day when humanity might make contact. Now that day had come, and it was nothing like what anyone had planned. Tell them we'll meet in conference room 7. Equal numbers, weapons secured, and Stevens? Make sure they understand that we're offering them dignity, not humiliation. Commander. Drakmor entered the conference room with 3 of his officers. He had expected to face gloating conquerors, but instead found humans who treated him with respect. Elena Rodriguez stood as he entered, offering a formal bow that acknowledged his rank. Commander, she said in perfect Vorthok, please be seated. We have much to discuss. Drakmor was stunned. Not only did this human speak his language flawlessly, she understood Vorthok military protocol better than some of his own officers. You are not what we expected, he admitted. Elena smiled sadly. No, I suppose we're not. Your council thought we were legends. You thought we were primitive pirates. We're actually just people trying to live our lives in peace. But your technology, your tactics, your ships. We've had 300 years to prepare, Elena explained. We knew this day would come eventually. We watched your civilizations, learned your languages, studied your weaknesses. Not to conquer you, but to defend ourselves if necessary? In space, more human fleets continued to arrive. Admiral Susan Clark's Centauri fleet brought ships that looked like they were made of liquid metal. Admiral Paul Martinez's Vega Defense Force showed off vessels that seemed to exist in multiple dimensions simultaneously. Admiral Tony Walsh's Deep Space Patrol revealed technology that could create artificial wormholes for instant travel. The aliens were witnessing the full scope of human civilization for the first time. What they had thought was a small collection of primitive settlements was actually a vast interstellar empire that had been growing quietly for centuries. Council, Admiral Zethkar transmitted to Zarian Prime. We cannot fight these humans. They have technology that is centuries beyond ours. Ships that number in the thousands. Industrial capacity that dwarfs our entire civilization. But more than that, he continued, his voice filled with something like awe. They have something we do not. They fight to protect, not to conquer. They show mercy to defeated enemies. They turn threats into opportunities. President Thompson's voice filled the communication channels once more. Galactic Council, we offer you peace. We offer you trade, cooperation, and the sharing of knowledge. But know this, if you choose war, you will face a species that has been preparing for that war for 3 centuries. The choice is yours. The transmission ended, leaving the galaxy in stunned silence. Humanity had revealed itself at last, and the universe would never be the same. The sleeping giant was not just awake, it was offering to help others grow strong too. The question now was whether the galaxy was wise enough to accept. 6 months after the battle at Kepler 442, the Grand Chamber of the Galactic Council on Zarian Prime had been rebuilt. The old circular design was gone, replaced by a structure that included a place of honor for humanity's representatives. Ambassador Elena Rodriguez sat at the new table, flanked by Admiral Jake Morrison and Dr. Rachel Stone, humanity's chief scientist. The transformation had not been easy. The 5 alien species had spent months coming to terms with humanity's existence. and power. Fear had slowly given way to curiosity, and curiosity had led to something unprecedented in galactic history: genuine cooperation. The medical supplies have arrived at the HFY homeworld, Elena reported to the assembled delegates. The plague that has been killing your people for 50 years should be eliminated within the month. The HFY representative, old Velmos, clicked his mandibles gratefully. The ancient trader had become the unofficial spokesman for his people, respected for his wisdom in recognizing the truth about humans from the beginning. The HFY cannot express our gratitude, Velmos said, his golden fur now clean and healthy thanks to human medical technology. Our children will live because of human generosity. Science Minister Quindle of the Nexari leaned forward, her blue skin bright with excitement. And the environmental restoration project on Nexar Prime is proceeding beyond our expectations. The dead zones that have poisoned our world for centuries are showing signs of life again. Dr. Rachel Stone smiled at the progress report. She was a small woman with kind eyes and brilliant mind, leading humanity's effort to share beneficial technology with their new allies. The atmospheric processors should complete their work within 2 years. Your homeworld will be fully healed. The Avalon representative, his leaves now a healthy green instead of the worried brown they had been months ago, rustled with pleasure. The Avalon forests sing with new growth. Human technology has helped us restore ecosystems we thought were lost forever. Admiral Morrison listened to the reports with satisfaction. The integration had been challenging, but humanity's approach of offering help instead of demanding submission was working. The former enemies were becoming partners. What about the pirate problem in the Outer Rim? Morrison asked. Solved, replied Admiral Zethkar, who had become an unlikely ally after experiencing human tactics firsthand. The joint patrols with human ships have eliminated piracy in 17 sectors. The pirates cannot fight ships they cannot see or predict. The shadow representative, still mysterious but no longer threatening, spoke in their whisper-soft voice. The shadows have learned much from human stealth technology. We offer our knowledge of dimensional folding in return. Elena nodded gratefully. The technology exchange had been beneficial for everyone. Humans gained knowledge of dimensional manipulation, while the aliens learned human principles of adaptive engineering and environmental harmony. There's one more matter, Elena said, standing to address the council. The construction of the new deep space exploration vessels is complete. The joint expedition to the Andromeda Galaxy is ready to launch. The chamber buzzed with excitement. The idea had come from Dr. Stone, who suggested that instead of fighting over the resources of their own galaxy, they should work together to explore new ones. The project had captured the imagination of every species. Captain Lisa Brooks entered the chamber, now wearing the uniform of the newly created Galactic Exploration Service. Her red hair was still pulled back in a regulation bun, but her insignia showed ranks from all 6 species working together. Captain Brooks, Elena said, please give us your final report. Lisa stepped forward confidently. The ship Unity is ready for launch. We have a crew of 200 with representatives from all 6 species. Human adaptive technology, Nexari sensors, Vorthak defensive systems, Avalon life support, HFY logistics and shadow navigation. And the mission parameters? Admiral Morrison asked. 2-year exploration of the nearest Andromeda systems, looking for new worlds suitable for colonization and signs of other intelligent life. If we find anyone out there, we'll be ready to make contact the right way this time. Dr. Kevanin of the Nexari raised his hand. Captain, what about the philosophical differences between our species? How will we handle disagreements during the mission? Lisa smiled. We've spent 6 months training together. We've learned that our differences make us stronger, not weaker. Humans bring adaptability and determination. Nexari bring scientific precision. Vorthak bring tactical expertise. Avalon bring harmony and patience. HFY bring resource management and trade skills. Shadows bring stealth and navigation. And if we encounter hostile species? Asked the Zethkar Admiral. Morrison answered this one. We go in peace, but we're prepared to defend ourselves and our new allies. The galaxy has learned that attacking innocent people brings consequences. Elena looked around the chamber at the faces of beings who had been enemies just months ago. The transformation was remarkable. Fear had been replaced by hope, competition, by cooperation. "Before we conclude," she said, "I want to read something that arrived this morning from Earth." She held up a datapad containing a message from President Thompson. "Citizens of the galaxy, 6 months ago we faced each other as enemies. Today we work together as partners. This is not the end of our journey together, but the beginning. Humanity has spent 3 centuries preparing for this moment, not to conquer or control, but to join a community of species working toward common goals. We offer our strength to protect the weak, our knowledge to heal the sick, and our determination to explore the unknown. Today, as the ship Unity prepares to carry our hopes to distant stars, we take the first step toward a future where no species stands alone, where differences are celebrated, not feared, where the strong protect the weak, and all share in the wonders of discovery." Elena looked up from the message. "President Thompson has authorized me to make humanity's final offer to this council. We propose the creation of the United Galactic Federation, with equal representation for all member species and a charter based on mutual respect, shared knowledge, and the protection of innocent life." The vote was unanimous. 3 days later, the ship Unity launched from a joint construction facility orbiting Zarian Prime. Captain Lisa Brooks stood on the bridge, surrounded by crew members from 6 different species, all working together toward a common goal. "All stations report ready," announced Commander Drakmar, who had volunteered to serve as the ship's security chief after learning human principles of protective rather than aggressive warfare. "Dimensional full drive is online," reported the Shadow Navigator, their technology now integrated with human adaptive systems. "Life support shows green across all sections," added the Avalon engineer, their living systems perfectly balanced with artificial technology. "Course plotted for the first target system," confirmed the Keftai astrogator, their natural navigation instincts enhanced by human precision. "All sensors functioning perfectly," reported Dr. Kevanen from the science station. Nixari technology merged seamlessly with human adaptive sensors. Lisa looked out at the stars, knowing that somewhere among them lay new worlds, new challenges, and perhaps new friends waiting to be discovered. "Take us out," she ordered. The Unity slipped into dimensional fold space, carrying the hopes and dreams of 6 species toward distant galaxies. Behind them, the civilizations they represented continued to grow and prosper together, bound by the simple human principle that strength should be used to protect and nurture, not to conquer and destroy. The sleeping giant had awakened, and it had chosen to be a gardener of the stars, helping others grow strong under the light of distant suns. The galaxy was no longer a place of fear and competition, but of hope and cooperation. The legend had become reality, and reality had become something better than anyone had dared to dream.